Welcome, everyone. I'm Chris Ripley. I'm going to be your presenter today for campaigns that drive action, newsletters, and announcements. And very honestly, I'm going to talk here just for a second here. I'm just coming off of watching another webinar that was a great webinar, and I had taken lots of notes. And I thought it was only going to go for an hour. That's why I scheduled this one at 2, but it was going for another half an hour. So hopefully I'll be able to catch the recording later. And we will have a recording for this as well. So if you happen to miss it, I'll make a recording. I also have some other webinars that you can take a look at, the recordings as well. And we'll have a special offer. I'm going to actually have a special offer to get a copy of my book at the end of the presentation. So if you stick around for the whole thing or you go back, you can fast forward to the end and get the information on getting the book. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. If somebody could just, a couple of people could just type in that they can hear me okay, in the chat or in the questions, however you'd like to do it. Just type those in. And this is great. Excellent. Thanks. Wilfer, Debbie, Heather, Elizabeth. All right. Thank you. Very good. That's great. And I'll try to keep an eye on that. I'm not the most coordinated, I don't think. And, you're trying to watch and make sure, there are several screens that I can watch and monitoring the call, and I'll try to do my best to make sure if anybody has any questions, you can type them and I'll try to answer them when I get a minute. And then as we go through, I'll also try to make a few stops for questions and people can ask themselves. Now, then I'll open up the audio to everybody and we may have issues then, so that might not work. I've done more than enough of these to understand all that. So with that, I'm going to close the window here and hope that everything goes okay for the time being, and get started with campaigns that drive action, newsletters, and announcements. And there goes the helicopter. I don't know if you can hear that or not. And don't want to miss the bottom line here, featuring email and social engagement. A little bit about myself before we get started. I'm Chris Ripley. I'm the guy that's talking there. I'm a constant contact area local expert. There's my contact information. I'll also send out, an after webinar email, and it'll have this information in it and, a link to the video and that sort of thing. And it'll have some other stuff in there. But here's my contact information as well if you want to, if you're interested in writing it down. Now, I encourage everybody to, nice little high note there, encourage everybody to follow me on Facebook on our Strategic Marketing Group Facebook page. That's where you can go because we have great stuff on there and we're getting better and better all the time. So that's certainly something to think about if you would like. A little bit about myself, 22 years in the corporate world, and then I decided to start my own business, looked at lots of different things. The more I learned, in the corporate world, I was in retail sales and marketing, and the last job I actually had there, I was a department store manager for the last 14 years of my retail career that ended in 2001 or so. Spent the last 11 years with my own business in marketing and business development. We do all kinds of stuff online and offline. And I spend a lot of time with email marketing because I tell people, certainly with email marketing, it's going to be your highest return on investment. So that's why I like to do these email marketing webinars, because these are things that if you do and people follow your advice, which isn't that tough, they can generally get pretty good results within 3 to 6 months, sometimes less. I've seen some people go as quickly as the first email, getting a big chunk of change back. I've also written a book, Online Marketing 101, and I'll give you my website information at the end. We have a blog every week or so. The book, Online Marketing 101, if you stick around till the end, I'll give you the link to where for the website where you can go to get a copy of the ebook. I've got to print some more books, and I'm having a little trouble with CreateSpace at Amazon. I don't know what's going on there. But I have a new book coming out as well. So if you sign up to get this ebook, you'll get on the list for my new book, which is going to be called Leveraging Your List. And email marketing will be a big piece of that also, because having a great list and using that list to get more business from your current customers and to drip on your prospects and communicate with them on a regular basis, so when the time comes for them to choose your product or service, you become the top of mind choice. There still is nothing better than email. So, I firmly believe that, and I do lots of stuff. And as I don't know what was I? I was at some meeting yesterday, and basically, you have to have an integrated marketing plan. So email should just be one of the first things that you do. Oh, and so that's published author, and I'm on the 5-year anniversary. 5 years ago, right about now, I was over in Egypt. My daughter was spending the summer in Egypt. I don't think I would be there now with all the trouble that they've had. But I wanted to get my picture riding a camel, and it almost looks like a two-headed camel, and it's all decorated and all. And here we are at the pyramids at Giza. And, right next door is the Sphinx, and I got to go in that as well. My daughter was actually working for the Supreme Council of Antiquities, the people who manage these beautiful antiquities. And so we got to do the great tour. You can see over on the left there's a fence, if you can see it on your screen, with people, and that's where everybody else had to be, but we could go right in there. So that was very cool. All righty. So on to the seminar. I've plugged email marketing and Constant Contact already. If you're going to use a tool for email marketing, Constant Contact is the one. You want to get results fast, affordable, you're going to have to spend some money. It kills me sometimes. People don't want to spend $20 a month. And for the payback that you could get, it's amazing. And, they say that the return on investment in email is about 40 times your investment. So, and you can use email for newsletters and announcements, feedback and surveys, events and registrations, offers and promotions. I have a client, lawn care service, and they use all of these. They really do. And they're very successful. They market lots of different ways. So even within the email marketing tactic, that thing to do in your marketing, you could break it down a little bit further. Do events, do surveys. Surveys are great. I'm on the board of the United Way, and we're putting together a survey now. The United Way uses Constant Contact. They get it free because they're a nonprofit organization. The United Way, I know, gets it for free. And we have the survey module, and we're going to do a survey to learn why people give. And we're going to do a survey as to where people go to get information about nonprofit organizations, which for you is a great question to ask. Where do people go to get information about your product or service? And the list is 20, 25, 30 different items long. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, newspaper, television, different breakdowns on that. If you wanted to put different channels in there, if you were a business that used a lot of TV and you knew that people use TV, you would want to break it down to the channel level. So to have a tool that gives you the ability to do all those things is a great thing. What we're going to try to cover today, what are campaigns, newsletters, email, and social, because they go together very well. They're all part of the online marketing world. I kind of break it down between online marketing, things like this, and then offline marketing, which would be television or the newspaper or direct mail, and any of those tools. And oftentimes, what your ultimate goal should be for almost any of those people should be to get them on your list, and get them on your email list. That's what your goal should be. So if you can take your TV people, or people who are watching your TV ads but aren't ready to buy what you sell yet, but might be interested in it, and find some way to get them to go to your website or your Facebook page and give up their email address so it gets on your list, that's a big win, because now you have a targeted customer, and you can nurture that customer and eventually turn them into a customer when they're ready to buy. So that kind of goes through what we're gonna be doing today. So at its core, marketing is about eliciting a physical and measurable response. So hold on one quick second here, folks. We'll edit this out in the recording. I was using my laptop to prepare, and I had my notes to the side, and I needed to just get them. So I was doing it without notes up until then. But getting a response, getting people, a response would be getting somebody who saw your TV ad to go to your Facebook page and enter a contest, something along those lines, and you get them on your list, and now you can keep in front of them. Now, honestly, getting somebody to go get a free report that tells them the 7 questions you should ask any window company before you buy windows might be a lot better if you did that. You're a window company and you do that on your TV commercial. One of the things you say on your TV commercials: visit our website and get a copy of our free report, the 7 questions you should ask any window company before you purchase windows from them. That's a response. Somebody's interested in getting windows. Whereas if you send them just for a contest, they might be interested in, the only thing they would be doing would be trying to win free windows or whatever you might be giving away, but had no need to get windows right now. Campaign. What do we think about when we think about campaigns? We're going to push content out into our list, the people that have raised their hand in one way or another, and we want to try to get them to respond. There's a couple of ways that we can, consider a response. Opening the email to a lot of people is considered a response, and it certainly is, and it's one of the metrics that you want to look at, but you want to look at more if you put an offer in your email. Let's say you are that window company and you send out an email, talking about your, you've got a few things on your email, but you're talking about your July promotion and, $100 off every window. And if somebody clicks on that link, they're probably interested in buying. So that might even be where you would go and see who clicked on the links and follow it up with a phone call or follow it up with another email if you don't have their phone number yet. But that's what you're trying to do. I couldn't believe this. And you always discover things that surprise you, but when you're immersed in this stuff, as I am all the time, I probably have a warped perspective of it. Anyway, I was working with a client recently, and they didn't want to put any links in their emails because they were afraid it would get caught in a spam filter. And very honestly, the links in your emails it just popped up here. The screen just popped up. I don't see anybody asking a question. The links in your emails are looked at by spam filters, but, unless they're links to, Viagra sites or anything crazy, generally they're going to let them through. If it's linked to a website that has isn't on the blacklist or whatever, it'll make it through. So, it's a lot more, open rate is one thing, but click through to see what people click on is a whole nother thing. And that's where you really know, you get a hot list of prospects. If you send out, 300 emails and you get, 12 people to click on the link, those are the 12 people that are interested, and you should find some way to get back in touch with them in a more direct way to see if they're close to buying. So newsletter, newsletter is anything. You can kind of define that. I really look at it as you want to regularly communicate with your clients and prospects with relevant information. So, to some people, that can be very short. To other people, that can be longer. There's, different theories on how much related content you should put in, and, should you put in other content as well, and, what that should be. And then, when you think about it, we're doing an email newsletter, and one of the things that's happening right now is a lot of people are reading their email on the phone. So, how long of a newsletter is somebody going to read on their phone when they're just kind of thumbing through things? But you need to get one big point across to them. So, those are all things that you have to think about. And one of the things that's not done in marketing enough that needs to be done much more, and I'm just as guilty as the next guy, is that we need to test more. And test what times that we're supposed to be, test what times people are opening your newsletters. If you send it, what's your open rate Thursday mornings? What's your open rate Tuesday afternoons? And try to find, the best time. It used to be you could say certain times were good, but now I really think it depends on your target market, and if your target market is stay-at-home dads, they may be a lot different than working moms, and that type of thing. So test it for your own target market. But you can, do newsletters for almost anything. Working with the United Way, I'm on the board. I used to be on the board. I was on the board for 6 years, a long time ago, and then I just got back on the board. And they were saving everything up and sending 2 email newsletters a year, chock full of stuff. Well, they're much better off sending out either a monthly newsletter or sending out information whenever they have it. So when they have their golf tournament, send out an email about the golf tournament. When they have another event, send it out like that. Maybe they do a quarterly scheduled newsletter, but they know that, in between, they're going to hit at least once a month, because there's no question that the more you email to people, this is going to be a surprising statement. I'll explain myself. But the more you email to people, the better your open rates will be. If you only, think about it this way. If you only emailed somebody twice a year, they're going to wonder, what the heck is that? I haven't seen anything from them. They're going to delete it or maybe even call it spam. Very bad. You're emailing them once a month and they see those emails come in. Even if they don't read them every time, they're used to seeing emails from the United Way. There's a much better chance that somebody will open them. Even to the point where if you emailed them every week, the same thing would be true. You may lose some people, but the people that hang around are going to be your target market. They're going to be the people who are really interested in your product or service. So this gives you some ideas on types of emails. Tell people what they want to know. We recently started posting client videos on our Facebook page to show customers what we do with videos. So, and we're going to start doing more of that stuff to show people what we do. Sure, it'll help us sell stuff, but a lot of the stuff that we do, businesses could do for themselves. We can just do it a lot faster and a lot easier for you. It might take you a month to produce a video that we can put together in a couple of days. So, and it won't cost you that much more. I'm not here to talk about that. So anyway, moving on, talking about email. What do you write about? I've just gone through some of that. What do you know that they don't know? Here's a writer downer for you if you're taking notes. what I would do is I would do, think about what are the top 10 questions that prospects ask you before they buy. And if you can answer those top 10 questions that prospects ask you before they buy in emails, and you're directing them to prospects. Now, if you were doing to customers, you may not want to do that. And then the other thing, so that's 10 emails, and then the other 10 could be the 10 should ask questions. People don't even think about these things, but you know about them. Let's say your brother's out in California and you're a real estate agent, and your brother's out in California and you're here in Maryland, and your brother needs to hire a real estate agent. You may give him some inside information. You should ask this question or that question or the other question, because people like inside information. So you do those 10 questions. There's 20 emails, and there's also, a big free report that you can offer people. That's a whole nother discussion. That's what they were talking about on the other webinar that I was writing. Original isn't required. Just be interesting and relevant. I listened to this podcast about search engine optimization, and mostly what they do is they take an article that somebody's written about search engine optimization and go through it and talk about it themselves, and then talk about what the author says, and then talk about their opinion on it and maybe add to it, that type of thing. So, and if you ever record material, if you ever do seminars or webinars or presentations, record those, and you can have them transcribed, and that can become newsletter content as well. The webinar that I did at the end of June, I recorded the webinar, I had the webinar transcribed, and now I have somebody creating 5, because there were 5 topics covered in it. It was social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and Pinterest. There's going to be an article written on each of those topics. So I'm going to stretch out that content and reuse it. So, less is more. You don't have to, that's, going through the United Way incident there. That newsletter is overwhelming. And very honestly, we have a local chamber of commerce that went from a printed newsletter to an email newsletter, and their newsletter is overwhelming as well. And it doesn't fit right in my Google email. I don't know what the problem is with that, but you really, the more stuff you try to cram in there, the more chance you have of it looking goofy in one place or another. So sometimes short is good enough. The number one money-raising email subject line for the Obama campaign, they did really well getting people to donate small amounts via email. The number one subject line that generated 5.4 million in donations was "Hey," HEY, period. And people opened it, and then they gave. So less is more. So whoops, I gotta look at my. That's where it's, when you get these. Mobile device. That's what the number is, and I had talked about that before. 51% of the people are reading emails on mobile devices. So you gotta focus on that as well. And what I say with that, certainly one of the things that drives me crazy about email on mobile devices, and think about it yourself, is the fonts are small. So don't be afraid to go to a 14-point font in your emails all the time. It'll make you make them shorter too, which will mean that they might get read a little bit more, but they'll certainly get read more on a mobile phone. So, and picking pictures, and this goes, we're not talking about it yet, but tying in with social media, I get much better engagement from pictures and videos for clients on Facebook than we do for written material just by itself. Although you do get engagement for it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, and you need to do a little bit of both. So, but here, throw it, put in some pictures. Be careful still on mobile phones. A lot of people don't have the images download on mobile phones. So don't be dependent on images. And if you see this one on the bottom right here, if that's all an image, that might be a problem. Now, if that's, a font or something, which it doesn't look like it is, that would be okay. But when people, half the people are looking on mobile phones and you've got, big, large images in there, you risk losing your message all the way. So, because don't over rely on images. I just, be sure you use text labels in case images aren't displayed by the recipient's mail program. Don't mix images. Don't use images of your content. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Don't use the, where with a little leg thing there going on. Don't use images for your content. Your content is viewed when your content is viewed on mobile devices, this is what it looks like. So especially that one, you can see the missing images on the first one there. The second one comes through, but it gets shrunk, and the third one doesn't even fit. So make sure that you use images carefully. We're talking here, there you have the email with an image in it, an Instagram image, Pinterest, all these image things are great. Facebook, for a while there, I really, we see a lot of Facebook activity. How we have 40 some clients that we do social media for. So we see what works and what doesn't work. And the right image can be great. And sometimes it'll surprise the heck out of you what works. I actually, for our lawn care client, when I was out blowing the grass from the road onto my yard, because, if you leave the grass out on the road, it's kind of messy, but also it goes down the drain and it eventually has to decompose and it adds nitrogen to the Chesapeake Bay. So if you throw it in, if you blow it back into your grass, it'll decompose and fertilize your lawn. So I'm blowing it back into the yard, and I had my phone with me. I was listening to a podcast or something, and I took a short, 10-second video of blowing the grass blades into the lawn and put it on their Facebook page and told the little story, the Chesapeake Bay story, like I talked about, and it got shared. We had 198 views in the first couple of days. So, posting a video directly to Facebook. So, and sometimes you could do your video newsletter if you want. So, if that's what you want to do. So, and here, I was talking about repurposing and reusing content, really important. And as with, what if you pick up the Online Marketing 101 book, when you pick that up, I talk about your website being the hub of all that activity. If you can do a great website with strong content about your business, it's not only going to help get you found and get you listed high on Google, but whenever you're looking for content or, something to say, or, you have somebody wants a description of our business, you should be able to just go and copy it right off your website and give it to them. So, you repurpose and reuse content all the time, like I was talking about with the webinar. I did the webinar. I had the transcription done of the webinar. Now I'm having the transcription made into separate articles. Somebody's putting it out of the conversational tone into a more written tone. And, and then, when I'm done with that, I paid, the webinar was about 120 minutes, maybe 113 minutes. So it cost me $50 to have it transcribed and it's costing me $100 to have it broken up into smaller articles. And then I'll have lots of, there'll be enough blog content for about 8 or 10 blog posts there. So that, if you figure it that way, if I say there'll be about 6,000 words, so that's 10 blog posts at 600 words. That's a real cursory way to look at it. Each one will stand on their own. But, I think this is, great really for you to think about. So, basically what you want to think about is when how are you going to get somebody to open it? How do you get somebody to open your email? The three things that they think about is, who is it from? Does it say your name? Make sure that makes sense. Look at it from a customer's point of view. What do you want it to be? Do you want it to be the name of your business, or do you want it to be you? I generally have it be me, but you could decide what you want it to be. What's in the subject? I was just talking about the subject line that raised so much money. Hey, and that was it. So, and again, less of this. There used to be a feeling that if you put free in it or whatever, it would get caught in spam filters, and there's a certain amount of truth to that. But if you're from, if you're whitelisted and all, you should be able to get through with that as well. Well, you want it to be something that's going to get people's attention. Oops, wrong button. And when do you send your communication? Think about that. We've talked about it. We've talked about it before, but when do you want to send it out? Do you want to do monthly? Do you want to do it weekly? Do you want to do it bi-weekly? Do you want to do it whenever something is available? You really have to think about that yourself. So just, that's something that you think about. Who is it from? What will be most recognizable? And think about the Can-Spam Act. So, and our Canadian friends, there's a new one in Canada, and I honestly can't say much more than that. But whatever it is, and I work with clients when we're setting up constant contact. You really, really, really don't want to go out and buy an email list and start emailing people that you don't know, that have no business relationship with you. It can get you in big trouble. I once had a client that got fined $20,000. They weren't my client when they broke the law. It was before I had gotten there. He was well versed in that. But a little thing on spam and buying lists and that sort of thing. A couple of years ago, I got hooked up with our local Huntington Learning Center and did their social media. And he had 2 centers, and before long, he hooked me up with some of the local Huntington Learning Centers, and then we decided we would try to do it national. And I was able to get a list of, the 250, 300 Huntington Learning Centers, and I actually even had email addresses of those people. So in theory, I could have broken the law and email those people and just cross my fingers and hope I didn't get too much trouble because it wasn't that many people. But instead, I did direct mail, and we actually printed the postcards in-house, and we did 3 or 4 postcards starting out, and we had 10% of the people signed up within 3 months. You got to do the postcard right, and that's the topic of another webinar. But you got to do the postcard right, and if you do that, and you have a great offer that people respond to, and it's targeted to the right people. I mean, it was a pretty easy target market, and we were able to pull it off. But even if it wasn't, if you have working with title companies, I do a lot of work with title insurance companies. if you've got a list of 5,000 realtors, now, you got the 80-20 rule, that 80% of the homes are being sold by 20% of the realtors, that's really true. So that would narrow your list down to 1,000, and maybe you could even narrow it down even more. You could narrow, I read the book 80-20. It's a Perry Marshall book. I read it last summer or whenever it came out, a little while ago. And, within that 20% of the whole, the 5,000, that 1,000, there's another 80-20 breakdown there. So you could actually try to identify the top 200 real estate agents. And if you were good enough, and, you would certainly need to have their names and addresses and probably their home address, because sometimes it's tough to get it to them in the office. But most of the real estate associations have their home address, and you might be able to buy that list and start mailing to them at home, because we don't have the can spam for mail yet. So they do. I guess there is the list where people can be removed from that, but I don't think that applies in business. So but then again, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take me up on that. Be consistent, and this is consistent through Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and your website and emails. One of my favorite templates in Constant Contact is the basic template, because all I'll for clients, I'll just put their logo at the top, and I do this for myself as well. Logo at the top, and then everything else is pretty much text. And that's a great template for mobile as well. So, make things look consistent. You got 2 seconds, first 2 words, if they're going to open it today. So, that's just really important. The either that, or it's going to get deleted, or it's going to, if you're lucky, in my email box, you end up in the reading folder, which, every couple of weeks or month or whatever, I'll clean out and make a second cut and actually read some of that stuff that's kind of, not directly pertaining to what I need. So anyway, everybody hanging in there? When we get to the next slide break there, I'm going to open it up for questions. So if you've got any questions, is there a, let's see. Okay, no. So, and then the next issue becomes, what's a better subject line? March newsletter or tomorrow, I need 3 hammers. Can you help? So maybe, you're trying to find volunteers. So Joe's Pet Store newsletter, alert, help your dog beat the heat. So, all right. And then children's classes, just a dynamic headline or subject line. And really think about them the same way. I didn't bring it up on this webinar, but often in webinars, I put in a slide of what I call the marketing formula or the marketing equation. And if anybody took marketing in college or whatever, you got a similar kind of thing. Well, what I think about in any marketing piece, you should interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. Interrupt them with the headline or the subject line. Engage, that would be a subheadline, or when you open your email, making your headline, if it's tomorrow, I need 3 hammers, can you help? And then when you open it up, we're looking for 3 people to help us at the homeless shelter or whatever. Do that type of thing. So that would be, and then if you're interested, you would educate them. So in the bottom, you would tell them, well, we need to build this, we need to do that. You don't just need light carpenter skills, blah, 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 blah. And if you're interested, call, blah. That's your offer. So there you have, interrupt, engage, educate, and offer all in your email. And that's going to be an effective marketing piece. So, just some other ideas on that. When to send, I talked about this. Monthly is most common. I tell you, you'll get better results if you can do it every 2 weeks or weekly. But monthly, if that, and start with monthly, because I certainly don't want to be the one, well, we're going to do it every 2 weeks, and then the second one comes along and it's 2 weeks, and then you don't do it, and then you feel bad, and then you don't do it at all. If monthly is what you can handle, do monthly. Put it on your calendar. Putting an hour aside to do our monthly email newsletter. And ask yourself, when are my readers likely to take the action I want? Maybe if it's something to do with family, it might be more of a weekend thing, or if it's something to do with work, it might be more of a weekday thing. We've found we get very good open rates and click-through rates when I do emails on Sunday afternoon. It seems like, my target market, small business owners, lots of them might be cleaning up their email on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening before they go into work on Monday. So they'll, if you use your email box as a to-do list, that might be one way that to look at it. But monthly is good. I don't want to hold anybody from doing it. Find your best day. This is where I was talking really about testing. You want to make sure that you test, and you can in constant contact, and that's the great thing. When you're sending out 50 emails at a time out of Outlook, you're not getting any metrics. And you may be getting your ISP to close your email account, which wouldn't be very pretty. So here, find your best day. Divide your list into 3 groups of people. Select 3 days in the week to test. Send your email. Watch for the best response. And maybe even try it a couple of times. I would give that more than one test. Try it a couple of times, because once you've set it up, it's very easy to do it again and again. So find your best day, and the same with time. Start it off if you want, find your best day, and then try morning, afternoon, evening. Try a few different times and see what you come up with there as well. So both of those, very important thing to test. When to send or post. So, and when you do your email with constant contact, you can have it post to Facebook as well, which is a very cool feature. And we do that with clients, and we have clients that we do social media and email marketing for, and that's always bonus post, which the more that you can post on Facebook, the better off you'll be. And like I've said a couple of times here already, don't be romanced by high open rate. Measure actions. You want to make sure people click through. Here's some just practical advice, things to think about. 67% don't see images by default. I have my images set to download by default. I've always been that way, but I know that a lot of people aren't. Text links get more clicks than buttons. Okay, so that can be where you can put a link in there, click here to purchase or click here to learn more, versus putting a button in. That's a graphics thing. And that also ties in, when emails go through spam filters, they look at things, the subject, and they look at the sender, and they look at the content in there, and they look at the links and that sort of thing, and they look at the graphics. And I guess from what I understand, the more graphics you have, the more you might get held up. So, when you reach a certain point. So that's another reason to do that. Place your logo left or center in the email. I usually put it in center, and include your company name in the text. So, there's nothing worse than reading an email and not being able to figure out who it's from. So, okay. Key action must be above the scroll line. That's like in the newspaper above the fold. We do that on websites as well. Don't give too many choices, and that goes also to keeping them simple. and make all images clickable and with text labels. The text labels help out for the people who don't download images. And test it yourself. I had a client a couple of weeks ago, and I'm trying to think what happened with the email. Oh, I guess it was he had some go out and the mail merge didn't fill. That's what it was. The mail merge didn't fill. So where it said dear first name, and I don't know what happened if a piece of the mail merge file there got cut off or whatever. But we did it really quickly. It was the first one, and I actually tried to discourage him from wanting to do one so quickly until we had gone through the list and all that. But he did it, and then he had some problems. And the one thing that we didn't do, and I blame myself for this as well, we didn't test it because we did it so quickly. We didn't test it more than once, and we certainly didn't test it on a mobile device. So you always want to try to test on a mobile device as well. So just to remind you there. So I'm going to open it up. It's going to go quicker. We're really about 3/4 of the way through. If you have any questions, type them in or type them in the chat, and I'll try to get to them. And I'll actually, let's see. I'm going to try this. It could be a cacophony, but I'm going to try to unmute everybody and see if anybody has any questions that way as well. Oh, here we go. Question is based on the email campaign I just did. I have an offer, but I guess the height and weight of the door. Oh, if they guess they. So, yeah, no, you're going to get. So I did I have an offer. If they guess the height and weight of a door, they would get $250. Yeah, the thing on that is that you'll just get. You might not get people who are interested in, buying doors towards the next purchase. Yeah, that one, in that case, sometimes your best offer is just going to be, it's going to be more geared towards now buyers versus future buyers. One of the ways that you can use marketing more effectively. I'm going to just explain this, try to do it as quickly as I can. But there are two kinds of buyers out there for your product, at least two. We'll say two now. There are now buyers, N-O-W, get my East Coast accent there, N-O-W, people who want to buy now, and they're, it just takes a little bit to push them over the edge. And then there are future buyers, people who are thinking about it. We need new windows in our house, but we don't need them right now. We probably need them in the next year or two. So for the now buyers, they'll respond best to discounts. Save $250 off a door, that type of thing. They'll respond to those kind of discounts. But the people who are off in the future, they don't care about those discounts now, because when they're ready to buy, you'll have something else going on. But they do care about learning more about their door purchase. So if you can, the 10 questions to ask every door company before you buy a new door, and, they give you their email address and you give them that free report, that will put them on your list and hopefully also help position you as the top of mind choice when it comes along. So contests are not always the greatest in terms of getting leads that fit your target market. You'll get a broad number of leads, and when you're in that kind of business, the windows and doors and all that sort of stuff, you got to think about the now buyers and the future buyers and try to figure out ways to capture both. Capture the now buyers with discounts or, buy one, get one free kind of thing, whatever it might be. And then you capture the future buyers on your website or wherever with some sort of free educational piece that will get them to give up their information so you can nurture them. And when they're ready to buy, you'll be the top of mind choice. Hope that covered it, Elizabeth. So, social media. We're going to talk about social media and tying the two of those together. Okay, let me get rid of this. 2008, 10% of small businesses were using social media. Today it's 87, 90% of businesses. Some are using it very effectively. Some, they're going weeks or months between their involvement in social media. 74% of people rely on social networks to guide purchase decisions. 55% share purchases on social networks. And then 68% learn more about a charity if they see a friend posting about it. So, it certainly warms people up for you if you do social media right. And you can also get direct business from it as well. And you have to use both. When you send out an email, also put it out on Facebook. If you write an email, put something out about it on Facebook, Google Plus, maybe put the picture on Pinterest. You can become a publisher or a writer, on LinkedIn. Go and do a Google search for LinkedIn writer. And if you can't find it there, let me know, because I have some info on it and I can help you out with it. But if you're writing an email and, an email newsletter, the content isn't searchable on the web. So while you can go on the web and get your email, with Constant Contact, where, it says, if you can't see this email, click here to view it on the web, that isn't indexed by Google. So that means your content in your email is still unique to the web. So that can certainly be a blog post. It could be an article on LinkedIn. The pictures could be on Pinterest. You could put little blurbs about it on Facebook, whatever it might be. Use that content in many different directions. So, and here you can just see an example of it. I get going without any notes and then I lose my place. So here's just some different examples. You've got your email and you got Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Pinterest, all that going on. And sometimes it seems overwhelming, but if you repurpose your content, you'll get more bang for your buck. It's always good. So, another example of email social, you can see certain colors tying it together. And, obviously with the Girl Scouts, you got green. So, even you see it in the second one there in the middle on the right, green shirts and the green, whatever that you wear across your chest there. I don't know what those things are. Okay. Tying together again, you see the branding going on. Repurpose your content. That's okay to do. Okay, so what's next? We're coming into the home stretch here. So, with Constant Contact, and I generally do this with all of my clients, you can use Simple Share, and it allows you to share your message on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you can actually control what your message looks like. You can enter it in here. And, I encourage you to try to do that. Make sure that when you put up you send it out an email, that you also post it to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's a little complicated, and very little, I say, but just to prepare you to connect the two. But once you've got them connected, you shouldn't have to worry about it again. So I do it all the time. Oops, wrong place. Put social media buttons on your email, so when people share your email, people can share your emails or forward your emails, that sort of thing. They have to be really good, generally. Um, this is this is kind of what started me writing my whole second book here, is getting people to sign up for your email list offline at the register, with the check at the end of the meal on registration forms. I went into a vacuum cleaner and sewing machine shop, not the biggest 21st century business. But the guy had been in business for 27 years. And the sad part of the whole deal was he had no list. 27 years in business, and his list was the receipts piled in boxes by year. And most of them didn't even have email addresses. It took me 2 hours to meet with the gentleman. And while I was in there, he had 6 people come in. If he had just tried to get the emails of 6 of those people, if the numbers hold up, he would have gotten 4 out of 6, and he would have had the beginnings of a great list of people who are interested in vacuum cleaners and sewing machines, what he sells. So use all these tools if you can. If you're sitting there thinking, we got a crappy list, what are we going to do? It's about 2/3 of the people that you ask will sign up when you do it in person. So I really encourage you to do that. Web sign up forms, great thing. Every website should have some place where you can sign up for something so you can capture that person's email address. If you ever do Google AdWords, if anybody in the crowd has ever done Google AdWords and had a crappy time with it, if you were just sending people to your website with no offer, no way to capture their information, you might as well have gone to the bank and gotten that Google AdWords money in ones and lit the match to it and do it in the winter to keep you warm, because it's kind of a waste of money. And Google really is telling you now to make sure your landing page is very strong. I have a client, my auto repair guy, and he's starting to go after transmissions. We have a page on the website that talks about all you can do to replace or repair your transmission. And we're going to start, we just started using Google AdWords for people for transmissions, sending them right to that page. And the first thing that we did once we got it up and we saw that we weren't getting the conversions that we wanted to, we screwed up. But we put a video. We shot about a 2-minute long video with the, telling people exactly what they needed to do if they wanted to get us to help them with their transmission problems. And it quadrupled our conversions. So, have somewhere on your website, you need to have something other than a contact us form. That's not, it shouldn't have such a negative tone, but it should be sign up for our newsletter or get a copy of our free report, the 10 questions you should ask any contractor before you buy a new door from them, or whatever it might be. The 10 questions that every bride asks when they're getting their wedding cake made. If you're a bakery, I was trying to test myself there. So do it on Facebook as well. The webinar that I was on right before this, I'm going over a few minutes here. I see it's 3:00. The webinar that I was on before this, that's what the webinar was all about, was creating landing pages for people for Google Plus. You've got Scan to join, Text to join, both great tools. If you're ever doing a presentation and people really enjoy the presentation and you want to get them to sign up for your list, Text to join is a great tool to have. So Just think about that. You can use other tools to expand your list as well. You know, create a content calendar. I think this is really important. We actually do this online, and you can use a tool. You can use a tool like Hootsuite to do much of this. But create a content calendar. And this is what we're going to send out. Anytime you do it and you kind of put it down on marketing stuff on a calendar, and this is when you're going to have it done by, it's much better. So you got color combinations here and all that. So that, boys and girls, is pretty much the end. Get started if you're interested. If you use Constant Contact already and you need help with it, I'd be glad to help you out with it. Drop me an email. I'll sit down with anybody and spend some time with you and try to make sure that we can get you that 40-time return on your investment in email marketing. There may be somebody locally like myself. I'm the area local expert in Southern Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. There may be other people who do live seminars for Constant Contact if you're not in my area. And if you want to, get on, you could also call. There are partners to help you out with things. What I wanted to do, I told everybody who stuck around, this is my book, Online Marketing 101. And if you go to this link right here, goo.gl with the slash, I'm going to put it in the, darn it. Sorry about that. Now everybody's freaking out here. Don't forget. I'm going to put it in the chat. And you can actually click. You should be able to click on it here. There we go. And yeah, there's the link right there. And you can get a copy of of my book, and that'll put you on my list, my email list. You can always opt out. You'll get whenever you'd like, but it'll put you on my email list as well. And I'll let you know. You'll get my newsletter, which we do once a week. You'll probably get. My bet is you'll get 6 emails a month would be about the average. Because we do the pretty much weekly newsletter. That's what I should call it. Pretty much weekly newsletter. And then we'll send out information about seminars or webinars that we're doing. And like when my book comes out, you'll get emails about that as well. And the other thing that I wanted to do, there's another thing that you could get also. I just wanted to show everybody. This is the Strategic Marketing Group website. And if you go to the website, we have a tool, LinkedIn Marketing Made Easy, and it's a course, online course, and you can just go down here and sign up. And you can also sign up for Constant Contact if you'd like. So you can see our little online review tool. If you have a business that uses online reviews, we do online reviews. And you can sign up for our Facebook page, all on our website. So if you'd like to do that, please feel free. Everybody's been great. Thank you very much. I apologize for going a little over the hour, but I hope everybody got something out of it. If you use Constant Contact, like I said, whoops, I got it. Oops. I saw another question here. I'm sorry. Oh. Medical waste. I'm going through the questions. I'm sorry. I see people have bailed out. Wilfred, I'm starting a medical waste pickup service. I have a listing on Excel. It would, if people haven't given you permission to receive emails from them, then it's considered spam. Now, I'm not the expert on this. I try to be an expert, but there are so many subtleties. It's my understanding that if you're part of a Chamber of Commerce group and they send out emails for you, that's fine. But I would, in that case, where you're trying to get them into medical waste, I'd create a great postcard. What are the 3 or 4 or 5 things that the people, the office manager or whoever is responsible for the medical waste pickup, what are the 3 or 4 or 5 things that drive them crazy about their medical waste firm? Are they late all the time? Do the guys look like they just got out they're not the scruffy looking guys, that type of thing, and create some sort of postcard that I would mail out to the people, and then try to get them to come to your website. It would be the free report or a free ebook, or maybe, if you're looking to capture the now buyers, you'll give them 50% off pickup for the first month. So do that with direct mail, and then try to get them onto your email list, and do it that way. So that would be what I would recommend there. So I was thinking, this is Elizabeth, and this goes back to the one that we were talking about, the store with the doors. For example, don't miss out on. Yeah, repetition is important as well. Repetition is very important. So anything that you can do, just like if you were to do a postcard, if anybody, if Wilford decided to do a postcard, he needs to do 3, because random acts of marketing just aren't going to work. Do one, a week or 2 later, do a second, a week or two later, do a third, and maybe you're offering, a percentage off your first month's pickup or whatever it might be. If or what, I don't know if that's a good offer or not, but whatever your offer might be, here's your first postcard, and then the second postcard comes, and that says second notice, offer expires such and such, and then the third one comes with final notice on it, that sort of thing. Can you explain what other possible outcomes of an open other than bounce or click through? I guess you want to just kind of look at the metrics, and let me see if I can do this real quickly. I'll go in and show you what the metrics look like. This is my lawn care guys. They usually pop up first. So, here you can go through, and you can see, here's the open rate. And now if we click on one, let me click on this one. So this was I'm trying to think if we had the video. I haven't met with these guys. We got 260 clicks. Let me see. This is the email. Like I said, we do simple emails. It's a short video that we did about bagworms. Bagworms are worms that attach to your bushes. And we made a short video, and they can be very bad. And see, look at how short this video is, and we got 260 people to click. We got 116 bounces. We're constantly trying to keep this. We didn't get any forwards, but we got 260 clicks. So those are the main, that would be, we got 116 bounces. So those are bad email addresses, that sort of thing. No spam reports, no opt-outs. We got 1,100 open, and we got 25% of the people almost that opened it to click on it. So I hope that helped you out there a little bit, Pete. Elizabeth, very helpful. Horacio, thank you. The link. Thank you very much. I hope everybody learned something. You'll be hearing from me again, and have a great day. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.